We have just read Eicha. Eicha is a type of Kina written by Yirmiyahu Hanavi, and the purpose of keynote are to put us in the proper mood and understanding in the sadness of losing the Beit HaMikdash and losing Yerushalayim. We read a couple of keynote just now as well, and we're going to read a lot more tomorrow. But this year is a special year regarding Yerushalayim, and I wanted to analyze a special kina. Yes, this is not something that we normally think of as a kina. This is a song written 50 years ago by Naomi Shemer. We all heard it on Saturday night by our special choir, Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, written again by Naomi Shemer, who you see here. And if you understand this properly, as we will this evening, based on ideas that people are close to me and other people have analyzed, we will understand this is really a kina, and it's a special kina. Let's take a look. She starts off with Avir Harim Tzalul Kayayin. The air in the mountains of Yehuda, Hare Yehuda, where Yerushalayim is, are clear. They're clear as wine, she says. Normally we would say clear as water, but she says clear as wine, I believe, because we know the song is going to be called Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, and white wine reminds us of gold, Zahav, and Yerushalayim reminds us of gold. We'll get to that later. But in addition to what we taste, the yayin, or the air that we feel, there's reach oranim. There is the smell of pine trees. If you look around Yerushalayim, you see pine trees, and they take over the whole landscape, and they have a special smell. Bereach oranim. Nisa beruach harabayim, we get carried away. Or maybe the city gets carried away as well with the wind that we feel. Bein ha'arbayim, in the afternoon. Im kol pa'amonim, with the sound of the bells in the background that we hear from the wind rustling. And if we look carefully, we have yayin, which we taste, we have reach, which we smell, ruach, which we feel, and kol, which we hear. All of our senses are being taken over by Naomi Shemer in this song as we start. As we begin the second paragraph, V'tardimat ilan va'even. Not only are there trees in Yerushalayim, there are all kinds of trees and there are stones, and they all are like sleeping, and they're considered like captive in a dream. What kind of dream is that? The dream, I believe, is the Shivat Zion dream. Shahayinu kecholmin, we say every Shabbat before we say Birkat HaMazon. We all have dreamed for thousands of years of coming back to Yerushalayim. And Yerushalayim dreams probably of us coming back to her as well. We have the city Ha'ir Asher Badad Yoshevet. She's all alone. She's all by herself, which we know from Eicha. Eicha Yashva Badad. This city Ha'ir Rabat Yam, that was full of people, is sitting all alone. And that's Yerushalayim. Now, why would she be saying this in Israel? Yerushalayim, as we know, is a bustling city, is full of people. But when she wrote it, it wasn't that way. She says here at the end, Ubiliba Choma, in the center of the city, in its heart, there is a wall. What wall is she talking about? So I believe that she's talking about a wall that separated the city. Here you have Biliba Choma. Here you have a sign saying you have to be careful, you cannot pass here. You're a Jew, you cannot pass into the old city. Here, I don't know if you can make out that there's barbed wire right here, right near where that sign would have been. In addition, we're used to seeing the city of Yerushalayim. This is Rehov HaMelech David, King David Street today. And here's that same building that you see here today, that same building with barbed wire. In the center of this city is barbed wire. In the center of the city is a wall. And you know what happens to a heart when there's a blockage, when there's a wall? It's dangerous for the heart. And if this is the heart of our city, we are in danger as a nation, and it's in danger as a city as well. And now we come to the refrain, to the pizmon. Yerushalayim shel zahav, of gold, v'shel nechoshet copper, v'shel or, of light. Halo lechol shirayich ani kinor. And that refers to a number of things. Number one, we know that Yerushalayim, the Beit HaMikdash, had klei zahav, had kelim in it, vessels in it, that were made of gold, and some made of nechoshet, some made of copper. In addition to the fact that the Yerushalayim has this goldish tinge of it when we look at it, the old city walls. But Yerushalayim shel zahav is also mentioned in a famous story with Rabbi Akiva, where he promised his wife he would get her a tiara of Yerushalayim de Dahava, or, as the Gemara calls it later, Yerushalayim shel zahav, or Ir shel zahav. Some sort of a crown that a woman would wear on her head to adorn her. He was a pauper, he was very poor, but he promised her one day he would get her that Yerushalayim shel zahav. V'shel or is because we sing all the time, Yerushalayim oro shel olam. Yerushalayim is the source of light to the whole world. You know, when a building has very thick walls like the Beit HaMikdash, the windows often face inward, meaning that it's narrower on the outside for protection, and it's wider on the inside so more light comes in. But with thick walls of the Beit HaMikdash, it was the opposite. On the inside it was narrow, on the outside it was wider, because the or came from the Beit HaMikdash to the rest of the world. Halo lechol shirayich ani kinor, we say. I am a lyre, I am a musical instrument to all your songs. What is that from? Well, we're going to say tomorrow, in the name of Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, that we cry, livkot, enotech ani tanim, ve'et echalom, it's time to dream, shivat shvutech ani kinor l'shirayich. I, he says, Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, in his famous Tzion Hatloti Shali, which we will say tomorrow, I am the musical instrument to your song. Like she says, Halo l'chol shirayich ani kinor. And the reason for that is originally Yechezkel actually says that at the time of the Churban, shirayich v'kol kinorayich lo yishama. They'll no longer hear your song. They'll no longer hear your musical instrument. So she says, no, I will be your musical instrument. By singing this song, I will be your musical instrument. I will be your lyre, your harp of sorts. And if you didn't think it was a Kina until now, if you haven't been convinced, look at how the next stanza starts. Eicha yavshu borot hamayim. How the cisterns, or the holes in the ground that we held water in, have become yavesh. They become dry because we're not there to collect water. Kikar hashuk reka. The shuk is empty. You know, we're used to seeing Mamila full of people, full of lights, right outside of the old city. But in fact, in her day, Mamila looked like this. This is how it looked. It was empty. It was desolate. It was garbage strewn all over the place. That's what she was looking at. Followed by Ve'en pokeret harabayit be'ir atika. There's no one going to visit the Temple Mount. There are no Jews that go near the holy places. There's no one there anymore. And then she goes on, Uva me'arot asher basela, in the tunnels deep beneath the Har HaBayit, what we know as the Kotel Wall tunnels. Uva me'arot asher basela, although those weren't really found in her day, but that could be an explanation of what it could mean. Miyalalot ruchot, all there is wind blowing through it. They're empty. Ve'ein yored el Yam HaMelech b'derech Yericho. No one's able to go down to the Yam HaMelech through Yericho, because if this is West Jerusalem, which we didn't have the old city of Yerushalayim before 1967. But in order to get to the Dead Sea, they had to go all the way around to here. And that's not B'derech Yericho. In the interest of time, let's suffice it to say that this paragraph, she says in humility, who am I to make a song for you? As I'm making a song for you, as I'm beautifying the words and beautifying you, I'm little, I'm not worthy. Then she talks about her name, the name of Yerushalayim. It burns her lips like the kiss of a saraf, which is an angel. Then Naomi Shemer goes on and says, just mentioning your name burns my lips. It burns my lips like the kiss of an angel, kinishikat saraf, referring to a pasuk in Yeshayahu when an angel actually did touch his lips, did kiss his lips, so to speak, kiss of an angel. And that burnt his lips when he said it. Your name is so holy, like an angel, that it burns my lips. She ends with Imeshkachech Yerushalayim, Asher Kula Zahav, which reminds us of a parak in Tehillim, which we say, some say it before Birkat Hamazon every weekday, and we read this line as well at a wedding. We sing it at a wedding. Imeshkachech Yerushalayim, Tishkach Yemini. The reason we do it at a wedding is because the very next line is, at every happy occasion, we have to remember Yerushalayim. She ends with Asher Kula Zahav because it brings her back to the refrain, to the pizmon of Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. But this whole song was written 3 weeks before there was ever any thought of going back to Yerushalayim. We had Israel from 1948. We didn't have the old city of Yerushalayim, the eastern part of Yerushalayim as it's called. We only had the western part of Yerushalayim. Nobody thought of that would change. This was Yom HaAtzmaut that this song was presented for the first time of 1967. Just a few days later, the president of Egypt, Nasser, was going to say he's going to drive the Jews into the sea. He's going to wipe out the state of Israel. And just 3 weeks later, the whole world changed for the state of Israel. Euphoria. Not only did we gain honor in the world, we gained Yerushalayim. The eastern part of Yerushalayim, the old city of Yerushalayim, was now ours. People came to Naomi Shemer and said, you got to change the song. You got to add a paragraph. Some say she wasn't so happy about that because it's a Kinnah. It doesn't belong in this song. I'll write a different song. But she sat down, and you see her handwriting here, to write the words of the final paragraph. This final paragraph undoes all the sadness of the previous paragraph. The borot are no longer empty. We've come back to them. We've come back to the shuk. And Rav Goren blew the shofar at the Kotel, right near the Ir Atikah, right near the Har HaBayit. And those tunnels that just blew wind, now there's sun flowing through them. And we can once again go down to Yam HaMelach, but now through Yericho, and go the more direct way, because it's now ours. This song became a hit. Everyone was singing it, and it became the top of the charts all over Israel, because it shows both the beauty, the sadness, and the amazing miracle of the 6-day war. It was written as a Kinnah. It was written as a sad tefillah to get us into the mood. And maybe, just maybe, it was written before we even thought about going back to Yerushalayim. Maybe that Kinnah, maybe that tefillah went up to Shamayim and helped us reconquer Yerushalayim, reunify Yerushalayim. Let us hope that our Kinnot today and tomorrow will do the same, and even more.